What is up, you guys? And today I want to do a little something a little different. I wanted to talk to you guys about something I read earlier from the book of Luke, uh, from the Bible, from the Gospels, Luke 5. And I'll read it first, and then kind of go over what I wanted to share. Luke 5, uh, starting in chapter 5, verse 4. And starts out, when he had stopped speaking, he said to Simon, "Launch out to the deep and let down your nets for a catch." But Simon answered and said to him, "Master, we have toiled all night and caught nothing. Nevertheless, at your word, I will let down the net." And when they had done this, they caught a great number of fish, and their net was breaking. So they signaled to their partners in the other boat to come up and help. And they came and filled both of the boats, so they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, "Depart from me, O Lord, I am a sinful man, O Lord." For he and all who were with him were astonished at the catch of fish where they had taken. So I'll stop there. And so the revelation I got, actually, I read this, a number of times. And a few months ago, I had this revelation about um, the catch of fish, and you might have as well, but it was new to me. And I'm a numbers guy. I'm an analyst. I dissect things all the time, and I was curious to know how much the worth of the net breaking catch of fish were, because the interesting thing that triggered that was that it happened again. Like later in the Gospels, you see that Jesus came back after he resurrected and did it again with Simon Peter. And and all of a sudden, the thought was is uh, how did they how did they live such a nomadic life? How are they able to the disciples and Jesus be able to go from city to city and preach, but um, be able to afford food and housing and things like that? And it doesn't give us a lot of detail in Scripture, and so my assumption was it must have been from the fish, because one thing you have to understand about fishermen in those days is that they would work hard, and sometimes they would only get a handful of fish to be able to sell. And so to not cash in, or not to take advantage of the net breaking fish, didn't make sense to me. And throughout the scriptures, I realized that Jesus was very practical in the way he spoke and the way he lived his life. I mean, there was even one time where they were questioning about, how, do we pay, should we pay taxes? And so he asked, I think it was, maybe it was Peter as well, or John. He's like, go into the ocean, and go. There's going to be a fish there. There's going to be some money, enough to pay your and my taxes. And so he was very practical, and so I was thinking, I wonder if that's how they financed the ministry. I mean, Jesus had his ministry from the beginning, uh, when he was baptized by John the Baptist, all the way to his crucifixion and the end of his ministry. And in that time, uh, he was ministering. He was going town to town. It was known that he dressed pretty well, and he had a convoy of people. And so even though there was a lot of miracles that he performed, there was some basic necessities and things that they needed. So that's what came to mind as, like, and so I was curious to see how much that would be, and I did a bunch of research on the what how much it would take for that catch to sink two boats. Um, and I did, the weight. I did research on the weight of what that was, and how many fish there would be, the type of fish that was being sold, and I did some research on how much each fish would would cost on the market, and how much they would be able to get for those fishes. And it came out to uh, in today's dollars around $780,000 in today's dollars, in U.S. dollars, about $780,000 in that catch. And then I kind of reverse engineered the amount, and I realized each, like, to finance all those disciples, they each basically would have gotten around 20, 24, something like that, $1,000 each to, just to sustain their life. Because I also realized, like, a lot of these guys had families, right? They forsook all. When I read that, people, some interpretations, or some people say, well, they left the catch. It's like, well, no, earlier they said they brought it in. So how did they? So they brought it in, did all that work, brought it in ashore, and then just left. They probably did leave, but I'm sure they were able to sell the catch, and then they were like, okay, we're gonna follow you. Like, you did this, you're taking care of my family, you're taking care of the basic necessities that I need. I'm going to follow you because you performed this miracle on my behalf. And that's what Jesus would always do. He would always perform miracles for people's behalf, and so why not perform this financial miracle for these fishermen, to allow them to able to afford them to know that their families are taken care of, because the scriptures also says that a man that doesn't take care of his own household is worse than an unbeliever. So it's just the importance of being able to take care of your family is high importance, especially in biblical times. And in those times, it was like that was your purpose as a man, is to provide for your family. So to just live and just like go and like hang out with Jesus and become students of Jesus. I believe that it was financed through what Jesus did for the disciples, to afford them. I mean, we also know that they had a treasurer, which was Judas. And then towards the end, it was interesting. Towards the end of Jesus's when the Last Supper, it was known that Judas wanted to go, get some silver. And I think he felt the responsibility, because of course he felt guilty for it, but also the responsibility of the movement to keep going, and or for his own pocket, realizing like we're out of money, is the end, towards the end of Jesus's mission, and then we're running out of money, and he's like, I need money, for myself, or to survive, or for the mission, or for whatever purposes, probably selfish purposes. So it's kind of interesting that how like that would cause him to do that period. And I think it was because of the pressure of running out of money, because he was the treasurer. It was known in scripture that he was the treasurer. And it's interesting, again, I said before, where after all the disciples scattered, right? They have no support. They don't have financial support anymore. They don't have their Savior anymore. He was crucified. So it's like it's all over. They all went back to their normal jobs. If they had if they didn't have the financial backing before, why would they? I think part of the reason why they went back to work is because they ran out of money and they needed money. So it was interesting how it all kind of, the money ran out, Jesus was gone, and so they're like, I got to go back to work. And because we see later on, after Jesus resurrected, he did the same thing to Peter, and he did again net-breaking catch. I think it was specifically 153 fishes, and I did some analysis on that, and it was about the same. Like it was interesting how the second time the gospel specifically said exactly how many fishes they were, maybe to have people like me to analyze, how much it actually was, but it was about the same. It was about $780,000 the second time. So it was like to help finance. I believe, to help finance the next phase of where Jesus was telling Peter to go and feed my sheep, go and tend to my sheep, and to go out and continue the mission of spreading the gospel. And so those are just my thoughts. And so my takeaway was, I believe that God that calls people to something, whether it's a business, whether it's ministry, whether it's to do something specific in a company or work for someone or what have you, be a missionary, whatever. I believe that God will finance that for us. Like once we discover and we're open to the mission that God has for our lives, all we have to do is by faith cast over our net. And the net to me could be a metaphor for, whatever it is that you're doing. If you have a business, that's your net. If, you are, going to work for a company, your net might be your resume. Your net might be, your savings account. You open a savings account and by faith, it's going to open a brokerage account and by faith. So that's how it kind of translates into finance. I was going to bring it around to how it relates to our financial future and finances, but it's whatever it is. We recently opened up a giving account where we're funding it, and I'm believing for that giving account to exponentially grow. I believe that that's a net that we opened up specifically for giving, and we've given in the past, and we've given, and we make a habit of giving. It's important. But to specifically have an account for it, it's something new to us, and so I believe that we're going to be able to grow that, to do some really cool things. I have some ideas of creating I don't know if a nonprofit, but an organization maybe, or a project. That's a better way to put it. A project where we can help people, just practical helping, pay for their rent, pay for their, maybe their college, pay for things that are meaningful to help people with their mission and their goals. But anyway, so hopefully this encourages you that if you have a vision or a mission, that you have faith and believe that God can and will finance it. You just have to ask. What's interesting with this is, these guys didn't ask, so, but we're in a different relationship with God. They had Jesus, and Jesus had to call them, and Jesus had to use them almost as an example for us that would come later. And it's very clear that he wants us to ask, to knock, to keep knocking, ask and keep asking. He reminds us, the Lord reminds us, Jesus reminds us to pray without ceasing, and that's like continuing prayer. It's not just a one prayer, God, please, help finance our business, or grow our business, and that's it. It's like daily praying and asking for the next account, for the next deal, for the next promotion, on a daily basis, and why? To finance the purpose that God has in for your life. It's to me, it's all about intent and purpose. If we're asking like the world asks, which is like, man, I really would want to win the lottery, which that's also something that's possible. But what is the motive? Why? Why do you want to win the lottery? Why do you want the business accounts? Why do you want to grow your business? Why do you want to grow your net worth? Why do you want to grow your wealth and your finances? And is it for selfish ambition, or is it to finance the kingdom and the things that God has put in your heart? I believe that with that intent and with that heart, that God will open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing so great that you have no room to receive it. So great. and it's all based on your heart. It's all based on what your intentions are, and I believe it. So I encourage you today that if you don't have that purpose, if you don't have that calling, you don't have that sense of uh, direction or vision, that you pray for that first, like that God gives you that vision, that purpose in your life, whether it's through a business, whether it's through volunteering, whether it's through working for someone, going to college, whatever it is. Ask God for that vision. And that's the first step. Then after that, then ask Him to finance it. Ask Him to provide. When I went to college, that's exactly what I did. It's like, I know in this season in my life, when I was 18 years old and I gave my life to the Lord, when I gave my life to Christ, and I literally was like, here's my life, do whatever you want with it. And I surrendered my life and my desires and my wants and whatever things that I wanted to achieve when I was younger, which is funny because God kind of went full circle, and now he's using the same desires of gaining wealth and becoming rich and wealthy and all that, but in a way different way. Before it was more like for myself, right, to kind of show off and to be like the movies, right, to be like the actors, and to be kind of like the athletes that just were showing off all their money. Where it's like, on the opposite, I don't want to show off my money as far as like flashy stuff, clothes and cars and stuff like that. It's more like, I want to grow wealth for God's purposes in my life. But yeah, when I was 18, 19 years old and I gave my life to Christ, I told him, I was like, I know you want me to be in this specific college, and I know you want me to be here, and you're going to need to provide. I didn't have scholarships. I didn't have wealthy parents. I didn't have any of that. So, I mean, I unfortunately had to get into student loan debt to do it. But then He provided the means afterwards for me to be able to pay that off. And so that's a testimony, I guess, on believing what your purpose are and believing God that He'll provide the resources that you need to work out your calling in life. And in this season of my life, and hopefully whatever season you're in, that we're continuing to do that, that we're continuing to call upon the name of the Lord and to have Him guide us and to provide for the mission and vision that He has for your life. That's all I have. Hopefully this helps someone, bless someone. See you next time. Peace.